There was a lot of excitement. I personally was crying a lot and squealing because I was so excited that Carlo was finally getting canonized, and for Sadi, but I went particularly for Carlo. So there was a lot of people squealing and jumping for joy, and it was just nice to be with people that are like-minded and there for the same purpose. There were a lot of unexpected graces. A couple of things, like I am really close to Father Pitan from our diocese, and Father Pitan was there for the canonization of Sadi, and we ran into each other 3 times. I only usually see him like twice a year here in our own diocese, and so getting to see him 3 times, and him being so close to Sadi and me being so close to Carlo, it was nice to just be able to see him in that atmosphere and connect. And I even I was walking down an alleyway one day, and there were vestment shops, and there was a Saint Sadi stole that priests wear, and I bought it for him, and I was able to give that to him as a gift to remember, the canonization of Sadi. We were invited to do the Rome premiere, watch the Rome premiere of the documentary on Carlo, and his family was there, and so I was like within like a couple hundred feet of Carlo's mom, and she spoke afterwards, and his mom is a very delightful woman. If she does not become a canonized saint one day, I would be shocked. But it was a great experience. We also were invited to listen in on the practice for the Sistine Chapel choir that sang at the canonization mass. So that first day that we were there, we did that, and it was amazing. However, at the canonization, if you look at pictures, there was a statue of Mary up by the altar, and then there was a relic of Carlo's heart, and then there was a relic of Sadi as well there, but I'm not sure what the relic was of that one. We went to each of the 4 basilicas and walked through the holy doors, and then we went to a bunch of different churches with different relics of different saints. So I saw, oh my goodness, so many. St. Agnes and Catherine of Siena. Padre Pio was one so Padre Pio is one of my close saint friends. And then we were walking down an alleyway back to our apartment, and I look up and there's an image of Padre Pio on the side of a church, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure Pio's in there. So we went in, and there were relics of Padre Pio and St. Jude. We stumbled upon Monica and Valentine, and there was, so many saints. You turn a corner and you run into another church with a saint's relic in it. Faustina was another cool one that we stumbled upon. And as we were going up to get seats, and I was realizing how good of a seat we were going to get, and the fact that Carlo was getting canonized, like a squeal from my soul came out. I couldn't contain it, and I started like crying and squealing, and this lady from Brazil was walking walking past me, and she like looks at me and smiles and laughs, and she brings out this like prayer card of Carlo and gives it to me, because that's just like the excitement. It didn't matter what language you spoke or where you were from. So we get seats pretty close, and that mass was, I think after the day that I was baptized, confirmed, and received communion, this is probably the second best day of my entire life. I'm gonna get teary-eyed just thinking about it. And then, so that was on a Sunday. I hadn't received communion in a couple days because we just weren't able to get to Mass. So being able to receive communion for the first time in Rome at the canonization of Carlo, I, of course, cried like a baby, and had a lot of very personal graces that were bestowed on me from the Lord, and I felt very, very close to Carlo and Sadi, and a lot of my saint friends in that Mass. Yeah. We actually, the last day we were there, we climbed the dome of St. Peter's. It was a lot of stairs, so many stairs, but the view from the top, because I shared some pictures, was gorgeous, and just to know you're standing on the top of St. Peter's was quite awesome. And being St. Peter's is by far, I think, my favorite church on planet Earth. I love St. Peter's. I actually cried the last day when I had to leave. I didn't want to leave St. Peter's, but being able to pray at John Paul II's tomb and Peter's tomb, and Gregory the Great, Leo the Great, was just amazing. Like that's our church, that's home. And then there's a adoration chapel in St. Peter's, and 2 days in a row I was able to pray in the adoration chapel there, which is really special. I did see Pope Leo twice. There was a Saturday when we were there was a papal mass. So we went to the papal audience, and then the next day was the canonization, so we got to see him both times. I think it's really important to see these young saints canonized, because they're an example to all of us, no matter what our age is, that we are called to holiness, and we're called to be saints, and we're called to be great saints, and that every single one of us should be on that path and surrounding ourselves with other people that are like-minded and want to help us get to heaven as well. I would recommend that you find someone who is a venerable or a blessed currently in the church, become friends with them, and then one day when they get canonized, I would highly recommend going. It was, again, one of the most beautiful experiences of my entire life, to go and be with Carlo and Frassati and squeal.